Vulcan, Shock, and Cabrakan versus a Chiron, Achilles, Ares. Trying to go and stick with this ADC double front line. This Vulcan, we've talked about this so much. When you're turret maxing, finding so much of that pressure and value from this pick. Although he's going to lack that CC immunity into an Ares. If the Ares is given the ability to get really aggressive here. Shield Bash used on the Cabrakan. Ares has to be a little careful. The Trembles are used and Shock Slow. Do they have the damage to actually pick this up? Turret's dropped. Does he get away in a first blood? Already wave number 1 going to the Developers. The Tremble Shock Slow, unfortunately not enough when you're going double blink, not having that Heavenly or any way to really escape that Tremble and Slow from the Shock. And more than enough damage falling through that Vulcan. It'll be the most watched video because of the thumbnails. I don't know about all that, Nico. You gotta be a little careful because of that first blood. They're gonna hit 5 off of this wave. That first blood did go to the Chalk, who is gonna be going Jotun's first item, which is obviously pretty notable. There's the 5s. You back it up for the T2 item spikes in preparation for red. This pressure is going to come through. They're actually electing to stay. Because they're staying, they might get a little bit of wave pressure, but they're not going to have T2s in a full T2 item slot. Chalk doesn't have blink, so how are they going to close this gap? Do they actually catch and get a second blood here? Johnson spawning in here on red too. They're on trying to get that ulted. Unfortunately, turret with the Vulcan able to secure it in between shots. Johnson, red, purple, and first blood all going wave the Developers. It's not quite the start you're looking for from the Frozen Fighters. This pressure from this Vulcan is going to become immense. And how do we actually deal with it? If it was just about any other mage player besides Dev, I'd say maybe there's a chance. Considering Dev being one of the more notable DPS, more so mage players for Joust currently, it's gonna be a really hard time getting your hands on him with this kind of a lead. Almost 1,000 gold going in favor of the Developers already at 3 minutes. Interesting. We're maxing 1 because of the wave clear that's needed. You're in double front line, so having to max the 1 over the 2. First item's already for 2 members of the Developers. A decent amount of poke turned out of the Chalk, considering he's only got Jotuns. What I'm really watching for is when those ults are going to be dropped. There's no blinks. Cabrakan just looking for a little engage there. Johnson spawning now. Purple is spawning as well. Cabrakan's looking for a cheeky wrap with ultimate. Just making him feel uncomfortable stepping to this wave. I actually love this positioning here by the Cabrakan. It allows the Developers to clear the wave a little bit more aggressive, provide pressure for purple buff. Just because where he's positioning, he doesn't have blink, but they can't really step up to match that wave clear without risk of getting Cabrakan ulted without Phantom Shell. Now, you talk about the value here. You went this double blink, so you guys have to be the aggressor into this Developers comp because you don't have the Phantom Shell. If this Cabrakan Chalk are the one aggressing with the Vulcan, you're not going to have a way out. Red is spawning. Developers are nowhere near, so this could be a cheeky or a really quick pull here by Frozen Fighters. Vulcan is just now pathing in, so maybe just the minis here. Cabrakan ult, good cleanse by the Charon. Not really a ton of damage going down. Do they have enough damage? Chalk full sense ult. Charon ults through, but more than enough damage now. Slowly ticking it away. Yeah, another kill onto this Ares. It was red buff also secured. So red and a pick. And this time the kill going onto the Vulcan. Take a quick peek at leveling orders. That's interesting. We talked about this for a while, turret maxing, but he's actually maxing the 1. Mr. Dev himself. Interesting. Would not have expected that, truthfully. Both teams backing, looking for those item spikes. T2 here. I wonder, is that a Book of Thoth or tab? Surely it's Book of Thoth, right? Might be tablet. Guess we'll find out. Everyone just now pathing in. It's a 1,500 gold lead here for the developers. I'm keeping an eye on, obviously we start ticking over to this level 12, but when we're looking for a little bit of pressure, get some poke and possibly look at Bull at the second item spikes, but also after neutral buffs go down, this red and purple. Yeah, the blinks, fortunately, if you're not the aggressors like we chatted about and you're getting aggressed on, never going to find the full value that you want it to. Scepter picked up. Purple's already up. Red spawning now, so it might turn into a little bit of a trade here. Oh, excuse me. So they're electing to go this red while Kraken hovers with Vulcan turret to make sure purple isn't able to be secured or even challenged. Red easily goes to developers. Kraken has ult. Surely he's going to be looking for it. Does drop it for the Achilles. Do we have the damage? Ares blinks in, goes for the ult. Good pull in. Kraken goes under, but do they have the damage? Chiron hits ultimate. Not really a ton turned out outside of that, so 2 ultimates for 3. Red and purple, i.e. both neutral buffs, go to developers. Chalk now turned onto because he actually TP'd in, heavily having to be dropped to get him out. Just being a little safe there with the Heavenly. Vulcan just content farming away, getting those minis. Not yet level 12, an Absolution right away. An answer to this Ares. I love this value. I hate playing against it. How are we doing, Wesley West? Chester, excuse me, Johnson being pulled here by Frozen Fighters. I wonder if this is that moment. Do they actually go for a Bull here? This would be that call, I would think. And it is level 12. Not quite yet. Not quite. Second relics. This is that value from turret. Ares is aware Crow was sent. They're not comfortable after they drop it, knowing Raven spotting them out. I love a little bit of the smack talk going on in chat. Book of Thoth here for the Vulcan. Second relics. Gonna be on this next back for the developers. Ticking over to that level 12. I'd like to make note, look at the wave, or excuse me, the ward coverage here. Aggressive wards by developers, 1 reg for 4 frozen fighters. The vision from both teams in preparation, knowing that 1 pick, if not just a little poke down, could easily equal bull for either team. Not quite able to back for second relic. This is a a fully upgraded fire blink by Chalk. Okay, Chalk actually able to TP in, and not really a ton of punish for that. Definitely playing this slow. Purple gonna go way of developers. Almost a 2K lead. Cabrakan looking to close gap. Unfortunately, not able to catch them to drop ult, knowing they didn't have Phantom Shell. If he was able to catch them in the corridor, it almost certainly spells death. They haven't even backed yet for second relic spikes. The farm that they're actually accruing here, getting to that 2K mark. Level 14s. Comes those backs going through for the developers. Now we start talking about item spikes, second relics. So maybe Aegis and Asunder. That is interesting. I don't know if that's a little bit of a disrespect by Frozen Fighters, but not a single Phantom Shell into a Cabrakan. Interesting. Okay. I'm gonna be honest, I never would have expected that. I'm wondering if this Cabrakan is able to find this value, knowing they don't have a real answer for it outside of just simply autoing down the walls to get anyone out. Red spawning shortly. I love this position by Cabrakan, just making them feel uncomfortable really stepping up. It should easily result in red buff always going to developers because of Cabrakan's positioning. Cabrakan gets the ult off. Absolution did proc. He doesn't have beat, so he will get pulled under here. Chalk gets a big ult through. Do they find that damage? Unfortunately, Cabrakan drops Aegis, so the Achilles execution doesn't find his value in turn. Some really good damage turned on by Frozen Fighters in response to the developers. Getting a little impatient there. Dropping Cabrakan ult, not having a response to the Ares pull under tower. The hard part is the lack of pen. Dev already knows that, going for Obshard. Just needs that percent pen and or Soul Reaver. Vulcan already pulling it, knowing that all Frozen Fighters had to back. Do they have the damage to really burst this before Frozen Fighters get a chance to come here? This is that value of Vulcan, that turret. I wish I could see the stats on that alone just for Bull. Easily able to secure Bull. They give up purple, but you're more than happy with that. That is a relic dagger for the Chalk. Looking to get active with the relic usage. Cabrakan has ult. This is like an all-in for the Achilles. Not able to find the Vulcan ult on top. So all 3 ults dropped by the developers. Just trying to poke down this Achilles, back him up. It should result in a possible T1. Ares does have Blink. T1 being valued. Charon ulting the wave from range. Gets 1 onto the archers and onto the Vulcan. T1 able to go down here. Vulcan working it down slowly while his double tank creates that separation. Is that target now going to be this Cabrakan, heavily used for the 2? Cabrakan gets pulled back. Unable to really find the damage coming forth. It's that conversation of an auto attack versus an ability-based ADC. Not able to work down this front line. They were able to steal red, but does that actually end up costing them? The damage now coming forth from the Vulcan. Heavenly was used. A fire blink, blink for blink. Charon dashing out. Have I played for partner for what? For Twitch? No. We're averaging 65 right now. We still have work to do. So, fortunately not. Got plenty of work still to do. My focus isn't necessarily, I mean, obviously it'd be nice to get that chance, but right now it's still working toward just building the Joust League and the Joust community, and I know that will come as a result, so. Let's continue to focus on Joust first and foremost. It's Hydras for this Chiron. It's an Obshard going into Mirrodin, looking for that 30% cooldown for the Vulcan. This is really going to come down to one big fight, but because of this lead, it's a 3,300 gold. He gets this Mirrodin. He's a level and a half up. This percent pan's really going to come home. This next big engage is really where I want to see this. This Obshard Mirrodin proc is going to absolutely chunk whatever target he's able to get his hands on. Bracken doesn't have Blink. He has that Sunder, so he doesn't have a way to really close gap. Chalk's backing. Harry's Blink is up. All three members of Frozen Fighters looking to back. There is no Horrific for that anti-heal, knowing Horrific was combined with Cursed Ankh, as we know it, or used to know it. Vulcan's actually pulling Bull from a distance. They have a ward on this, so they know he's here. But they had a Dev placing a sentry to make sure that ward was taken off. Bracken drops ult. That is a full range Vulcan ult. Good Aegis by the Chiron. Make sure he doesn't go down. Achilles trying to pick this Vulcan in return. Drops Thorns. Fight is a bit split. Vulcan gets a good meatball to separate himself with backfire. Chiron doesn't have either relic. Now turns into a little bit of a situation. Chiron looking for a possible wrap. Achilles blinks in on the Vulcan, but Vulcan able to Aegis out the execution. Chiron forced to back up. Both DPSs being the target of these tanks. Now, how does this 2v2 look? We've talked about this often. Are they able to find this trade, knowing Achilles ult is down, not willing to try it at all? Red is up, Vulcan pathing back in. Going to be looking for it into yet another bull pull. What I'm keeping an eye on now is that starter spike, a relic graveyard here for everyone on the Frozen Fighters versus we still have relics up for the developers. So in my opinion, a small net win for developers, but are they able to capitalize on that leading into this next fight before those relics come back up? Or are they just going to farm up looking for the starter for the Vulcan in preparation? This is the first game, Amana. Game number 1. There's a proximity ward here on the Achilles, looking to help himself close gap on this Vulcan. Vulcan is pathing over to Bull. Bull is pulled. They have a reg ward. They placed it at the back, so they know they are here. This Vulcan turret is doing an obscene amount. Sucks into a conversation where they can 50-50 that, but with Vulcan ult, they will always win that trade. Vulcan doesn't have Aegis, so he has to be super careful. This Achilles is able to close gap. He drops the proximity ward for the slow. Is he able to reach it? A good beat by the Vulcan to make sure that that slow doesn't allow this Achilles to close gap. When the Aegis was down, a big play by all members. A big Vulcan ult, but a double kill by the Chalk, followed with the Vulcan ult and a possible deicide for the Developers. A big extension. Chalk coming up big. I cannot talk about enough the was it third head? Is that what we're talking about? Surely it is. Just a big brain moment. The Achilles looking for that proximity ward slow to try to close gap for that execution. The Vulcan beadsing that to get away and dropping a big ult on that re-engage with Cabrakan Chalk ult. The damage just bursting all members of the Frozen Fighters. It came down to one big fight, and the Developers are taking home game number 1. This is high-level Joust, and when we know it, I love watching just those simple big plays. However small, they are able to come forth and take it home. That's crazy. Oh. GG. DP has to follow it up. But let's get into it and see how these teams pull it out. Absolution goes crazy on Thoth. Yeah, and you're crazy for saying that, dear sir. Let's forward a little bit here. All right. Looks like a conduit into a Book of Thoth here for the Yuhong. And conduit into Chronos Pendant for the Thoth. Looking for that cooldown. Taji already dashing in. Chain's not able to connect. Thoth able to hit the root. Do they have enough damage to kill her? They don't. Real poked out, though, for looking for that original engage. Purple being hovered toward, but both teams not feeling comfortable enough to try to pull it. Thoth just trying to get some poke. Both teams jockeying for position here. Who's going to actually find enough poke, if not a first blood, looking for that purple? I'm looking at relics. That is a blink by this Wukong. I don't mind this at all. Good silence onto the Ares Thoth. Taji is going to go into a Bruiser Axe, so an Axe into Thebes. I'm assuming he's going to be a full damage follow-up on the build. Red's already spawning. Neither team felt comfortable enough to really go for a purple. Quite interesting. Both teams waiting for those level 5s. And Frozen Fighters with the wave pressure, the first ones to find it. Charon on the receiving end of a massive Thoth ult, but not enough damage to secure first blood, but more than enough to go immediately into neutral buffs. Just not enough. 100%. I couldn't agree more. Dev's Thoth just hits different, similar to an Immortals with his Atlas. Some reason those particular people able to do so much more on those gods. Red able to be secured by Frozen Fighters. The first a little bit of a lead starting to accrue. Meat munching, 100%. It's Fabdullah, what can you say? He's going to be doing a little meat munching. God Great myself up. Purple being hovered toward for frozen fighters here. It looks like Developer is comfortable and willing enough to give it up. Frozen fighters are doing really well creating the pressure of their own here. I guess the thing I'm looking for, and I want to point out, is this counter engage from Developers. This composition Frozen Fighters are going to do really well to poke down from range, get some good setup. They want to be the aggressors. However, this re-engage, Ares going to ult, doesn't have beats for immediate response from the dodge. He ult to pull him back. I think this re-engage from the Developers, you have to really conscious and make sure the Frozen Fighters, your original engage has to be exceptionally clean, knowing the response from the Developers is equally, if not more, dangerous. Both teams, or both DPSs, not yet having first item. Wuhong did go the tablet I mentioned instead of the Book of Thoth. Constantly looking to poke as much as possible. A big Thoth ult, good immunity by the Yuhong for that dash. Here comes the Ares ult. Here's that ult I talked about. Are they able to recatch him now? Definitely had to be a glitch. Unfortunately, Daji not able to find that re-engage ultimate, pulling the Ares back in, looking for some damage. Unfortunately, just not enough. Daji beads now dropped for the Thoth route. Both beads off DPS for the Developers are off. Yuhong forced to back up off of the pressure of Wukong. Red does go to the Thoth. Charon's wrapping here. He's called out. Good silence. Not really gonna turn into much. Off charging all. Silenced out. Just wondering, take a quick peek at leveling orders here. Wonder what's the go button from the Developers. We talked about that re-engage, but Daji has to hit those ultimates to pull him back. Thoth drops ult. Was he actually able to steal that? He was not. Developers able to secure the red buff. We're gaining a little pressure here. Not yet first blood, so almost negligible lead, but a little bit of something based off buffs. Accruing a little bit to for themselves, the Frozen Fighters. I'm assuming this is a book of, or tablet into Book of Thoth here for the Yuhong. Harry's just trying to stop the Daji back. Neither one of these DPS, I say DPS lightly considering Daji's going bruiser, but neither one of Daji or Yuhong having beads up for the Ares ult. Yuhong, if we don't chain that first, is going to go into his 3 for the CC immunity. Charon stepping up, getting the Johnson. Red spawning shortly. Wukong placing wards for his team aggressively. Charon's got to be a little careful. Tiger Stun comes out. Looking for a little bit of that damage. Thoth not able to catch either member of the developers out. So one ultimate down. That's off the Thoth. Red was secured by developers a little bit. They are starting to catch back up here. They need to clean this up if you're the Frozen Fighters. Yu Hong grabbing red, 3 and back under tower. It's actually kind of interesting. Frozen Fighters see the Charon back. Look for the 2v3. They want to get this invade. Daji dashes in. She's looking for that some of that damage. Charon's not here. The ult from Charon is coming across. You gotta be really careful. The Daji does have beads, but the Ares wants to get that blink. Daji able to dash out. Heavenly is used. Charon pulled back in by Ares ult, but that's really all that's gonna really happen here. So 2 ults for 2 ults. Fortunately, not much else happening. They were able to steal the blue. So, however small, a net win for Frozen Fighters. Yu Hong drops ult. Not enough damage to kill the Thoth. I'm sure if he had Book of Thoth there, a second item that would have resulted in a kill. Respect the attempt regardless. They've worked their way back into this game and made it almost dead even if you're the developers. Taking a peek as second relics team members are shifting into or ticking over to level 12. It's a Thorns for the Wukong. I'm wondering if it's going to be a blink for the Ares. Red spawning shortly. Nice cast by Yu Hong. Charon getting some real poke onto this Thoth, making it feel a little uncomfortable. Red is pulled. Thoth ulting. 13 health. The 13 health, that has to make me cry. Just a little unfortunate. The Thoth ult leaves it just a sliver of HP, allowing the developers a window to steal it. Daji goes for that engage. Is she able to get the ult? She connects it to the Thoth, forces beads. So Thoth beads are down for the next fight, and red going to the developers. Dare I say the window's open, if not the full door. Knowing Thoth beads, you have red buff, and that lead now shifting to the developers at 11 minutes. Wondering, you start looking at the second relics. We haven't seen the Ares get his yet. That is a tablet, Book of Thoth, a Yu Hong, a Jotun's Hydras for the Daji here, looking for that 30% cooldown. Cloaks, both at almost 20 exact, almost 20 exactly. I think the one thing notable to talk about is this Runeforge has been a little bit why we've talked about Wukong. It's doing an absurd amount of damage. You get a Tiger Stun proc for the Runeforge. Not actually going Runeforge at all. I'm going this Cloak, Genji's into what I would assume would be a Galat Shield. Daji blinks in. Is she able to find the ultimate to pull the Thoth, knowing the Thoth didn't have beads? Unfortunately, unable to connect. So, 2 ults for 3 ults, and Thoth surviving. Just not connecting. Ares now the aggressor. Thaw. Use Daji able to back up. So blink alt not resulting in a pick, but does it result in a red buff? Yuhong casting on mid-wave. He is hovering here. Red able to be secured by frozen fighters. We're over a solid attempt from this Curon. They're going for that all in. They had a triple chain. Thoth gets a good root, but it's not enough damage to secure the kill onto the Charon with that tankiness. Daji was checking to see if they had bull. We are 14 minutes in the game, two cloaks, excuse me, and a tablet, none of which are stacked just yet. Well, with the Book of Thoth, for that matter. Both teams, 2 tablets actually, so both teams just comfortable with getting some poke damage down. We're waiting for those items to fully stack it online, to look for that all in. It is actually a ethereal third item for this Thoth. Ares ult up. Daji's gonna be ulting in return. Grabs the Ares. You have the damage to net a kill here. Tiger Stun silenced out by the Charon. I love that to make sure that the Tiger Stun doesn't go through when the Thoth ult across. Johnson should go in favor. I was about to say should go in favor of Developers, but the Wukong able to step forward. The Yuhong ult was connecting, but a good Wukong ult to make sure he survives and gets out with a sliver of HP. They're stepping forward. I'm assuming they're not going to be willing to dive the tower. Red to be spawning shortly. It is kind of crazy, though, when you start talking about tablet first item versus second item, right? Seeing the difference in stacks there for either one of these mage, both of them very poke heavy. Yuhong trying to get a nice wrap on the Thoth. Thoth forced the dash away. This is a double blink by both these tanks. Like I'd mentioned, Ares get a nice cheeky engage. I'm gonna say I'm a little shocked though, however, for the mystical blink. It's gonna make it a little awkward occasionally when you're near a minion wave or anything's taking that, puts you in combat, because we don't have that combat blink anymore, and I pray it never comes back. That's the DPS player in me coming out. Purple spawning now. Johnson landing being secured by Daji. Yet another proximity ward by this Wukong picked up. Cloaks both online. Tablets shortly ticking over. Ares stepping forward. Wukong blinks in. Here's that engage. They get the stun onto the Daji, but will they look for that re-engage? Forces her into ult. Immediately forces Wukong ult, pulls the Ares, so an ult for ult. Looks like that Wukong's gonna be going in a Runeforge 4th item here. An invade by the Frozen